welcome to my channel. Today we're reviewing the brand new Givenchy matte foundation. So Givenchy came out with a skin caring glowing foundation about a year ago, and it got great reviews, but I never tried it. But now I saw that the matte version was on the market and well, I couldn't wait. For some reason I always tend to go for more glowy foundations, but I tried so many over the last year that I wanted to do something different now. So I thought I'd try this one. It's the Prisme Libre Skin Caring Matte Foundation. So some claims for this foundation are that it's supposed to be 24-hour wear. It's a matte finish, of course, but also 24 hours correction and 24 hours blurring. It's based on a test conducted on 20 women. So it instantly corrects, unifies and evens out the complexion with a luminous matte finish and weightless effect. So that's a difference, it's luminous matte. There are some skincare benefits. It's water resistant. The skin's pores are visibly tightened and its texture refined over time. So yeah, that's the skincare benefits. And also the foundation allows the skin to breathe. Low transfer. So that all sounds great. It doesn't actually say anything about the coverage. But based on the previous foundation, I'd say it's supposed to be like a light medium or something. This isn't the first time I'm trying this foundation. It's not a first impression, it's an actual review. I tried it 2 days already, but not for a full extended day, just for like half a day. But I do have some thoughts. So while I apply this foundation, let me share a little bit about what I recognized over the past couple of days. So the shade I got is 1W100, which I think is the third lightest shade. And I think this one works for me. So I use about 4 pumps, but I'll do half of my face first. Oh, by the way, I just went into the review, but if you're new here, hi, my name is Cecile, I'm 29 years old now, and I live in the Netherlands, and I upload multiple videos a week on beauty and makeup. So if that sounds interesting to you, then please consider subscribing. Now let's get back into it. So I personally like to apply my foundations with a brush. And today it's 9:30 now, so I'm very much on time. And I'm going to do a full day wear test. Let's see if I can get the 12-hour mark. That would be great. My skin is unprepped. No moisturizer, no primer whatsoever. Just unprepped. I'm going to do this side of the face. So what I immediately noticed when I applied this 2 days ago is that the coverage is pretty high. This is what my skin usually looks like. So a little bit of red dots and some unevenness, and well, it's okay. It covers quite easily, but still, for what I expected, this is medium at least. So I think the shade works really well for me. It's not too warm. It's just nice, slightly yellow toned, which matches my skin perfectly. Okay, so I may have used a little bit too much on my forehead. I pumped out enough for my whole face and I put it on half of my face. So I'm just going to blend it out here. So as you could see, it blends out really easily. This is just some quick brush swipes and there it is. So unfortunately I have a lot of light coming in today, so this side of my face is a little bit darker. I did put on a light, but it's not bright enough. But I think you can still see the clear difference between the two sides. So let me come in a little bit closer. I think it looks very pretty over here. It does cling a little bit to my peach fuzz, but yeah, I could always get rid of that. So yeah, right now it's sort of a natural finish. I wouldn't say it's actually matte. I wouldn't even say that it's a luminous matte. I'd say that it's a satin or even a slightly dewy foundation. And even after it settles down a little bit, I still get that impression. So I even asked my boyfriend on the first day that I tried it, after a couple of hours, what do you think this is? Is this glowy? Is this matte? What do you think? And he said, well, it depends on which light you're under. Under lights it looked glowy, and not under lights it looked kind of matte. And I think maybe that's what the luminous matte means, but it does mean that, especially on my forehead, where I didn't put anything on top of it, it looked a little bit shiny. It didn't look very matte. Over here on my cheeks, where I also didn't put anything, but where I'm, I guess, a little bit drier, it looked kind of matte. So it didn't look dry, crusty matte, and it didn't look absolutely dewy, but I guess it depends a little bit on your skin type. My skin is normal, I'd say. Sometimes I experience a little bit of dryness. Sometimes I experience a little bit of oils. So that's why I'm always a little bit hesitant. But I think my skin is overall normal. So a foundation should look the way it's intended on me. So let me also do the other side. So like I said, I'm not doing any skin prep today, and I find that this foundation, even though it is matte, it does blend out really easily without any primer whatsoever. Usually underneath a matte foundation I would put my YSL Blur primer, but I wanted to give it a try with my recent favorite, which is this NYX Plump Right Back primer. This is a weird primer. It doesn't really do anything. It's not intensely moisturizing, it's not intensely mattifying, it really doesn't have any of those claims, and it doesn't really do anything in that respect, but it does really plump up your skin a little bit, and it does sort of maybe moisturize a little bit. It makes your skin a little bit more pretty. It does, however, usually make foundation a little bit more tough to apply because it's also gripping. And this foundation went really easily on top of it, and it actually looked a little bit prettier, I thought. Only after a couple of hours, it sort of looked the same. So the dryness that I saw on my cheeks after a couple of hours also was there after a couple of hours with the NYX primer, but until that point it did look a little bit nicer, a little bit more plump and moisturized. So I'm still figuring this primer out, but I just wanted to let you know that I did give it a try with this foundation, and that if you happen to have it and you happen to buy this foundation, I would give it a try. So I think that's a good application. This is what it looks like, and I think it looks beautiful. It doesn't look very matte to me, but it will dry down a little bit more. I'm not going to put a lot of makeup on my face today, so we can really see how this foundation works. Today I have a busy day. We're going to clean parts of our house. So I think I'll sweat a little bit, I'll be hot, I'll be dusty, I'll maybe unconsciously wipe my hand against my head. Anything like that. It'll be a proper wear test, I'm sure. So I'm just going to put on a little bit of concealer, a little bit of powder just underneath my eyes, some eyebrows, some mascara and a lip. Think maybe a little bit of blush. Think that's going to be it. I'll be right back. So this is my finished look. I used a little bit of my NYX Bear With Me concealer serum, a little bit of Essence Brighten Up powder, my Pump and Brow from Dior and my Pump and Volume from Dior in brown. And I used my Sisley blush stick in the shade Petal. And finally I used my Yves Saint Laurent Rouge Volupté Rock and Shine in the shade number 3. I lost the cap for this one, but it's this beautiful peach. So that's all I did. And now let's just see how this wears. This is what it looks like after you've applied all this. I actually think... Oh, by the way, I put the powder underneath my eyes, but also a little bit on top of my nose, because I was already sweating a little bit and I just wanted to make sure that it had a proper shot. So that's where I usually put powder, also a little bit on top of my nose. But everywhere else, it's just the foundation. So I think this is definitely luminous matte, but here, where it catches the light a little bit more, it looks, well, a little bit glowy, I would say. So let's see how this settles down. I'll check in a couple of hours. I'll probably have done a little bit of cleaning by then, so we can see how this holds on. And I'll see you again in a couple of hours. Hello and welcome for my first check-in. It's now 2:10, so I've been wearing this foundation for about 5 hours. And I have some thoughts. So this line here and here, you can actually see it better in real life, but it was pretty significant and I could see it after like 30 minutes already. So I don't know about the 24-hour proper wear time. It settled in my lines pretty quickly. Everywhere else, it's looking pretty flawless, I'll give it that, but it does look a little bit dry. So I said it would probably settle down a little bit, and it did. It does have that luminous matte finish on my forehead. Actually still looks pretty good, but over here and on my cheeks and my nose, it just looks really dry. And I just don't really love the way it looks. And also I feel like it oxidized a little bit. You could see it around my jaw, just a little bit. Not a deal breaker, but I don't like the fact that it settled in my smile lines at all. So yeah, it doesn't look that bad on camera actually, but in real life, also my boyfriend said it just looks, sort of thick. He didn't really thought it looked natural at all, which I think it is supposed to be. So yeah, I'm not the biggest fan yet. I liked it with the NYX primer a little bit better, and then for about 3 hours. That was pretty nice. But for a longer amount of time, I'm not sure. But I'll keep it up and I'll definitely do at least another 5 hours, but we shall see. I'll see you in the next check-in. Hello, I'm back from my final check-in. It's about 9 o'clock, so I have been wearing this foundation for about 12 hours, just a little bit less. And I have to say, I'm not so mad about it anymore. I mentioned it in the editing, but I'm not sure if you read it, but actually those lines that I saw, they completely disappeared. And it looks great. Look. No lines at all, nowhere really, no fading, a little bit more glow, especially on my forehead, but also on my nose where I did powder, and here around my cheeks. But I like that. I actually think this is a little bit more pretty, and it has been looking this way for about, I don't know, 3 to 4 hours now. There was a little time, just when I did my first check-in, when it looked a little bit dry, and I really thought it did. And yeah, it continued to look that way. But at some point it looked matte in such a pretty way. And now it held up for 12 hours looking this nice. It looks nice in the beginning as well. I think it looks even greater with the NYX primer. I'm actually quite content. It's such a roller coaster. I don't know. I guess what I would recommend for this one is really try to get a sample. See how your skin reacts to it. Because I feel like if your skin is more dry, this is not going to end up quite as pretty. And if your skin is very oily, this may already be too much for you. I just don't know. I don't know what to recommend here. Just look at the footage, see for yourself. I think the footage looks pretty good. And I think I don't use any filters or weird settings on my camera. It films pretty realistically. So yeah, take from this review what you will. I'm very glad that I have this foundation. And thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.